and welcome to LLC Fumar Takes. This is our 175th take, live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star Studios of Euless, Texas. I'm your host, Barry Duplessis, as always, and I'm so proud, so pleased, and so privileged to be with you all tonight. It's an honor. Happy Independence Day, everybody. July 4th, 2021. It is an outstanding honor to be with every single one of you guys. I'm so pleased, so proud to be here tonight. It's going to be fantastic. And we've got some guests of honor who have decided to join me on this illustrious holiday. But before we get to introductions, we do have to thank the people that make this show possible. And that, of course, is our sponsors. Tonight's show is sponsored by Drew Estate. This year marks the 25th anniversary of Drew Estate and the rebirth of cigars movement. To celebrate this momentous occasion, the company is inviting you, yes you, consumers, retailers, and cigar media alike, to this epic blowout birthday bash entitled DE25. DE25 will be held on the 25th of September at the South Fork Ranch in Parker, Texas. Yes, that's part of the Dallas-Fort Worth metropolitan area. People, DE is coming to my hometown, the DE25 celebration, and will include the unveiling of Drew Estate's newest brands with the first-to-experience approach for consumers and trade partners alike. Buy your tickets today at drewestate.com/DE25, drewestate.com/DE25. And welcome, everyone, to the 175th take of LLC Fumar Takes. It is my pleasure to welcome in our guests tonight, sponsored by United Cigar. Smoke one today. Start living united. The gentlemen's Ben Lee, Garret Robinson. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
Doing great. Glad to be on the show again.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Fantastic, Ben. Is this just starting to feel really comfortable for you?
Of course.
Yeah,
always.
You've been popping on a lot lately with me, especially last minute. You know, when things happen with guests and stuff, and you just happen to be a good chum and just hop in. So, but at least this one was planned. You got to think about it, ahead of time.
It's all good, man. It's what friends do.
Absolutely. So excited to have you guys both on. So we've got this build as a special opportunity today, because we're going to be talking Independence Day. Yes, a little bit of that, but we're also going to be talking the pre-PCA show. This is, I mean, can we believe it or not? There's actually going to be a trade show. It's been so long since there's been one. Yes, I know TPE happened a few weeks ago, but I'm talking about the original, the OG of trade shows when it comes to the cigar industry. Who would have thought? 2 years in the making. We're going to another one. It's truly exciting. So, but let's go ahead and kick things off. Let's do the old-fashioned icebreaker. I mean, what's everyone smoking tonight? So, Garret Robinson, how about that cigar? What cigar are you smoking tonight?
How about that cigar? Tonight I am smoking an American Viking Liga Zebra.
Liga Zebra.
It is a barber pole by Tim Swanson down at American Viking. He's out of Arizona, Cigars Daily Nation. And this is a tasty treat.
If it wasn't a barber pole, like, he'd be failing at life, though. I would have to say, like, you name something the Liga Zebra, and if it's not a
100%.
barber pole, yeah. I think he deserves a slap, but he's okay. He did it, so no slap, all good.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about it, Garret? Is it give us the details on, man? I haven't had the pleasure of smoking one.
Oh, you haven't had one? All
no,
right.
I haven't.
Well, I will. I'll make sure that happens. Ben, have you had one?
No, never had one.
All right. Well, I'll make sure it happens for you guys at the show. I'll bring some.
Nice.
As far as the details on the goodies inside, those escape me.
I was gonna say all undisclosed, or did I put you on the spot?
No, yeah, I should have been more prepared. I just know that I love this cigar. I haven't officially reviewed it yet, but let's see here. I've smoked 3 boxes of these since I discovered them. So
they don't suck. Got it. Okay, cool.
It's a damn good cigar.
Nice. Interesting. Well, I'm excited to try it. Tim's got a pretty good palate. I kind of like some of the stuff that he digs. So I'm sure he created something kind of cool. there.
Well, and it's totally different than, most of his other stuff, very earthy, very dirty, very, it's like, there's the filthy Viking, and all kind of in that, American Viking. But this one it's smooth. It doesn't have, until you get into that final third, it doesn't have any of the pepper, any of the spice, it is just smooth and nothing but, you get some coffee, some, a little bit of espresso, and yeah, it's fantastic. So guys, check out American Viking.
Nice, good stuff. Ben, what would you light up, buddy?
So I started the light. I had a whole lineup prepared. You threw me a curveball, so I had to change things up. So now we're going to be smoking the same thing.
Nice. Okay.
I mean, if you're not going to smoke a Liberty on 4th of July, then you're just not American.
Yeah, Garrett's got one at the ready too. Stealing my thunder, man. Yeah. So here we go. Yeah, this is Independence Day. I mean, let's smoke some freedom, guys. I mean, look at this. I don't, if you guys if everyone out there has not had the chance to go to your local shop and pick up this year's Liberty, please do. I'm really excited about the Vitola, man. They went Churchill this time.
Yeah, it's great, Vitola.
I was pretty stoked about it, to be honest. Like I was like, I really like that they're kind of changing up. They did the 60 gauge last year. You know what that could mean, Garrett. Next year, you know what that could mean.
I know, dude.
They could
Don't
do
curse it.
They could do it. I'm not saying it. I was hoping you would.
I'm not gonna curse it. And people who watch How About That Cigar know my favorite Vitola, and I would be over the moon if they did that.
Well, the good news is we can't hear Coop bitch about it because they already did a 60 first. So,
Right.
So that's the good news. So I'm about to light this up, and I'm excited. And I was talking to Eddie Garret of Davidoff earlier today, and he asked me if I had smoked this cigar yet, and I said no. I said I'm planning on smoking it tonight for my show. He's like, oh, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do on your show tonight? I said we're gonna be talking PCA. I said yeah, I realize you guys aren't gonna be attending, but it's my show and I can smoke what I want. So. I'm totally stoked about this cigar. I got to be honest. So this has kind of been a Camacho day for us, Ben. We had I had the Factory Unleashed earlier, and you had the Nicaraguan. And now we're smoking this year's Liberty. So I'm stoked.
Yeah, it's fantastic too.
Well,
so did each of you guys have? I haven't had a chance to go back and look. Did each of you guys do the Scorpion?
Yeah.
Or was it split into 3?
That would have been funny. If
no, we all did 3.
Yeah, we all did it. We all had the whole Scorpion challenge. So it was it really, like, I think I it was more built up in my mind a little bit. It was tasty, man. It was tasty.
Right?
I mean, I was basically like eating a chicharrones. That's what I compared it to.
Well, the stinger was the best part for me. I
ate the claws individually. I didn't have this. I like the rest of the body, including the stinger. I ate all together. So it really didn't get separated out for me. But yeah, man, the Eat the Scorpion challenge. You guys can check that out on the Cigar Coop page or Ben Lee's page. We had that done earlier today. So yeah, so check it out. We paired it with a couple of drinks, couple smoke. And ate a Scorpion.
Hot sauce. Put some hot sauce on mine. It was pretty damn good. I liked it.
That hot sauce sounded fucking amazing, man. Like that was off the chain.
Great idea.
Yeah, actually the company, if I remember right, they're out of New York, and I think it was called the Seed Company. I have to go back and check it out. But every hot sauce they make, yeah, it's good shit, man. I'm telling you. They make one called the Umami Reserve. That's got like mushrooms mixed into it with black olive. It's so good. And chocolate habaneros. Dude, I could eat that on everything. But I'm a hot sauce freak, man. My wife gets so irritated at me because I have so many bottles of hot sauce. They're unbelievable.
Yep.
But that was good.
Hot sauces are awesome, man. They're like my jam. But I still like gravitate towards like the classics. Like I still love Louisiana. I still love Valentino. You know, I still love Cholula.
Cholula is one of my absolute favorites, man. I love Cholula.
Yeah,
I go through. I gotta go
flavors.
through a bottle every 2 to 3 weeks. I go through an entire bottle. Easy.
Well, and I'm flavor before heat. And trust me, I do some heat for sure. But if it like, I don't know if you guys have had the Mad Dog 357 or the Bomb or any of those.
Yeah, the Bomb.
One and done because it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Well, there's
the Bomb is real bad.
Yeah, the Bomb's terrible. Like, I'll tell you what's like the thing I like about I love heat. I love heat, but I also love flavor, man. Because there's like, there's just heat for the sake of being hot. Like there's just pain and then there's flavor. And, you know, and listen, my wife is like, she's like real weak, like in terms of spiciness, man. Like black pepper, like gets her like alarm bells going, man. That's like 5-alarm chili for her. So yeah, she really can't do it. So like hot sauce is awesome for me because I can add it to anything, you know, after the fact or whatever. You know, but yeah, then there's just pain. Like I'll tell you what's still one of the most like tragic things in the worlds of like hot sauce and salsa and spice and everything. It still is a tragedy to me. So do y'all I know Ben knows what Wingstop is. Do they have Wingstop up north, Garrett?
No.
Okay. So it's obviously it's a wing joint. So they have, I mean, when they first started, they had very basic flavors, right? There was like 4 or 5, nothing crazy, nothing ostentatious, but they had for the classic buffalo flavor, they had mild, they had regular, and then they had atomic. And the atomic used to be so good. And now it's just painful. And it's not because I'm older. They changed the recipe. Like I know for a fact. I checked into this because I was like, it tastes different. It tastes way hotter. And they changed the recipe like I don't know, like 10, 15 years ago, and it's just awful now. It tastes terrible. It's just painful.
That's a tragedy. I hope one day you guys can come up to these parts. The Travel Channel in 2015 named one of our local wing places that's called D Spot, the best wings in America. So they have over 125 flavors of wings, and they've got 12 of them that are in the super hot category. So, you know, starting with, you know, ghost pepper blends and Trinidad Scorpions, and obviously your Carolina Reapers. And it is, just went there last night, and it is fantastic.
I think I've heard of this place. Is this the one you have to sign a waiver to eat the hottest wings? It's like
So the hottest wing you do, but the thing about that one is it's a 24-hour marinade that they chill and then they reheat, and yes, you have to sign a waiver.
Yeah, I do. I know this place. I've heard of this place. They actually use, if I remember, like they use Carolina Reaper extract, and they put it and drop, or they have to wear a mask, a full like
they have to wear masks.
NBC, like an NBC suit to actually start making the thing up. Yeah, I've seen this.
That shit's intense, man. Yeah. I mean, I've dealt with jalapeno extract, and that's stuff powerful enough, man. I can't imagine Carolina Reaper extract.
Well, any extract is so. Me and a couple guys, we did this, you know, hot sauce gauntlet to kind of rate both heat and flavor of hot sauces, and we decided when we were doing this that we were going to do only hot sauces that were absolutely natural peppers. That extracts bring it to a different level of heat, and extract flavor really sucks. So
it's just pain.
It is.
Yeah, because all it is it's capsaicin. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So that's just unnatural. Well, not unnatural, but just Scobles, man. That's all they're just pumping into something. It's just nuts.
Mhm.
Yeah, the hottest anything I've ever had. I don't even remember the name of this, but there's a kiosk in the middle of the Riverwalk in New Orleans. Now all they do is sell hot sauces, and on like one end of it is a daiquiri little to go daiquiri bar, right? And they would have these different hot sauces set out, and you get like a corn chip or a pretzel and put a little bit into like a little cup and dip it in there to try it out. Well, I was trying different ones, and I picked up one that was like the hottest one they had there. And I didn't know at the time that was the hottest one. And I dipped the pretzel in there and I ate it. And dude, it felt like a nuclear bomb went off of my mouth. It was the hottest thing ever. Like I just started hallucinating and shit, sweating, pouring. It was so hot. There was a guy and his wife that was beside me, and they were buying daiquiris, right? And the lady was handing them the daiquiris, and I don't know these people at all. I still to this day don't know them. I grabbed the daiquiri out of before the guy could grab it and chugged a daiquiri right there. And they had saw what I did, so they were like okay, like they didn't like freak out or nothing. The guy was laughing his ass off, and I was just chugging the strawberry daiquiri. It was unbelievable, just to stop the pain in my face. It was crazy. And I bought those daiquiris and bought them a whole nother round as an apology, but it was like self-preservation mode at that time. Like I thought I got either get that daiquiri or I'm gonna die here in the Riverwalk. One of the two. But that hurt so bad.
To this day, I don't know what kind of hot sauce it was. I don't know what kind of pepper it was. But there was this place in New Mexico called Stallman's Farms. It's a nut farm, but like all touristy places, like they make their own stuff, like their own preserves and their own jams and hot sauces, of course, and all this other stuff, right? And so they have like Ben, like you described, right? They had the little chips and the little dips out, and you could test some stuff
Yeah.
out. And so my mother, knowing my propensity for hot stuff, she still feels terrible to this day about it. If you bring this up to her, she breaks down in tears. I think it's hilarious. In hindsight, being 2020 and all, but so she hands me, she's like, oh, try this. It's the hottest thing they had. Apparently it said the hottest thing they had. And I was like, okay. So, I mean, I don't know how much I had. I don't know if I like scooped. I don't know if I did. I don't remember much. All I just remember was the pain. And like my mouth was like a bomb going off in your mouth. That's a great metaphor, Ben, because that's what it felt like. It felt like there was nothing, there was no feeling at all in the lower half of my face, and nothing helped. They had milk that didn't work. We had picked apples earlier that day. I went out to the car. I ate like 3 apples. I mean, my mouth's still on fire. My dad buys me an ice cream cone at this place, which, peppermint ice cream, which I don't like, but I didn't care. And I just like shoved the ice cream like on my tongue and in my mouth. And I was still just panting and like whimpering for like 2 hours afterwards. It was just, my mother felt so terrible, but like in hindsight, it was like, in hindsight, it's kind of funny, but it's oh man, that was brutal. I don't even know what it was. I still don't know. I don't know if it was, I mean, I couldn't tell you if it was habanero. I couldn't tell you if it was Carolina Reaper. I mean, this is, 20 years ago, maybe. So I don't even know if Carolina Reaper was like a thing back then, but it was hot.
2004.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2004 is when the Carolina Reaper was officially stable and crowned king, and still has not been dethroned.
I know when I eat a Reaper, it doesn't seem like nothing can put that fire out. Like it lasts. I swear to God, it feels like hours.
Yeah.
That's why I've kind of
a 20-minute.
Yeah, it is a slow burn. Like it's like white phosphorus. It's just unbelievable. And it's like I like the flavor of it, so I like getting a hot sauce that has Carolina Reaper in it, but it's not like, I look on the label on the back and make sure it does not say first ingredient Carolina Reaper. Like I want it to be on the last of the list down the bottom, so I know the flavor is there, but not that heat, because it's just death. Because as I'm getting older, I found that I don't recover as quick from all these super hot sauces. And
Right.
and I'm like, well, Garrett, like you said, like now flavor trumps everything. The heat, if the heat's there, great, but I want flavor first. I want very tasty hot sauces.
Good
So
call.
that's what it is. I think we
Well,
went way off
my
topic though.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
well, real quick, my
Hot sauce
favorite
is important
pepper.
though.
Just
This is important.
hot sauce is important, but my favorite natural pepper will be would be the Scotch bonnet. If you've ever had just a Scotch bonnet
Yeah.
pepper,
Mhm.
I mean, it'll kick your ass for sure. But that it is it's flowery, it's fruity, and it is delicious. So it's a cousin to the habanero, but grown in Trinidad and Tobago, and it is amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's really, really good. I'm growing actually red ghost peppers out here right now on my patio.
Oh, nice.
I don't know why. I don't know why I did that. I'm not gonna eat this some bitches. I don't know why I did that. It's like this scared me.
Because it's cool. Yeah, no, I like Jamaican jerk specifically made with Scotch bonnet over habanero. It actually makes a difference to me.
It does.
I'm with you. So yeah, I mean, we did get off topic a little bit, but hot sauce is important. So hot sauce is important. So I mean, I don't know if anyone could hear. I mean, I've got fireworks going off outside my house. I don't know if you got some you can hear in the distance, Ben.
Yeah, they're going off.
Garrett was saying that we might be able to see some fireworks outside his window later, which would be kind of cool. But I'm interested, before we dive into the PCA here, I'm interested to hear, like, what's your favorite Independence Day memory from you as a child? Like what was the tradition? What was one 4th of July or one Independence Day that just like you just remember like it was yesterday, and it was just a real great experience? Garrett, we'll start with you.
So my mom was a cake maker, and used to make all of these beautiful, elaborate cakes. And I was maybe 8 or 9 years old, and she decided to make this huge cake. And my dad put half a stick of dynamite in this. I mean, it was a 4-tier big cake. Half a stick of dynamite.
Like actual dynamite.
So that part is cloudy. I just remember them saying it was a half a stick of dynamite. So I don't know if it was like, a couple M80s, 4 M80s, or what. But had this ultra long wick going into this cake. That was the first thing they decided to do was this. And then we had a bunch of other fireworks that we're going to light off, right? So Dad lights the wick. It goes up. Boom. So the table that it was on, we weren't standing far enough back, number one. The table blew apart, hit one girl, and slashed her arm open.
Oh my gosh.
The concussion was so loud that most of it, like, I couldn't think or see or hear for a long time, and it basically night over, because it was so, like, there was nothing to baffle that. Cake doesn't do anything to contain anything, so it was instantly vaporized. But the table flew in all directions, and none of us could hear or anything for a while, so we went home. That's the most memorable experience of my life.
Everyone okay? I mean, other than the girl that got her arm slashed, I mean, was that the worst?
The laceration, yeah, she got stitches and she was fine. But it was, I mean, we ended up lighting off fireworks for the next, 4 or 5 days, off and on. But yeah, that was quite an event.
Oh my God. What possessed him to put like powerful explosive inside a cake? Just thought it would be cool, or?
Well, I gotta think that there was a lot of liquid courage involved in the planning and
Sounds like it.
execution of this event. So, yeah, it's fun. I haven't talked to my dad about it in several years, but it'd be interesting. I'll get back to you on that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Hey, Garrett, your volume dropped, so I don't know if your pods went out or not. So just wanted to quick check on that. But while you're doing that, Ben, what about you? Can you top explosives in pastries or in baked items and baked goods?
Well, no, nothing like that. I mean, when I was a kid, we used to, we bought all our fireworks. We didn't go to fireworks shows. We did our own stuff, and my great uncle, he actually sold fireworks, so I got all kinds of crazy shit a lot of times. But we, so I grew up on a bayou that's on a salt marsh, right, that goes out to the Gulf of Mexico. So a lot of time we're shooting off all kinds of crap, or we're taking bottle rockets and lighting them and then throwing them, and sometimes at each other, all the neighborhood kids and stuff. And anyway, so we start lighting off Roman candles. I used to love Roman candles. So I started shooting them off, and I got a little bit too close to the edge of the bayou when I was shooting that off, because I was trying to like shoot them into the water, right? Because with the Roman candles, they keep burning. So when you shoot them into the water, they make this like crazy bubbling, hissing noise. They go in the water. You can see it go like the flame down inside of the water. It looked kind of cool. Except one time when I was doing that, one of them actually didn't go in the water. It skipped across the water and then went into the marsh, and I caught the marsh on fire. So my dad and one of my best friend growing up, his dad got to I had a little boat that would paddle around, a little John boat, like a little aluminum boat. And they had to paddle over there with a bucket and threw the water from the bayou up onto the flames and try to put out the fire. That's the craziest thing I think I've ever. It doesn't come close to blowing up a giant cake. Which I have to say, when I heard that, the first thing I thought of was, hell yeah, that sounds awesome. First thing I thought of. But that's about the most crazy thing I've ever done.
Well, that was a big boom outside of my door now. I hope half of my house is still intact.
I didn't even hear it. It's all good.
Well, it's interesting. I really didn't light off fireworks as a kid. And comparing to a cake exploding or setting a marsh on fire, I feel pretty, I feel like just so anticlimactic over here. Fireworks definitely has a part of it. From a kid perspective, it was just so much fun to really enjoy those kinds of things. And I remember, my parents would always, around July 4th, we would always do fireworks every year. We would always go see fireworks, and we would always go to the local baseball game. It's a AA affiliate, the El Paso Diablos. They were in the Brewers and Diamondbacks for a while. And now they're actually a AAA affiliate for the Padres, but it was really cool. Like, it was really cool to go out to the stadium, but because tickets unfortunately would go up for the July 4th game, and it was always like super crowded. So my parents actually played it smart. We would always go for the game before or the game afterwards, because they would still do fireworks. But it was like less crowded and ticket prices were actually normal. So so my parents would play it smart, and but one year for my birthday. Okay, so my birthday's in October, mind you, right? So I had somehow gotten a hold. Oh, excuse me, it wasn't my birthday. It was for Christmas. Excuse me. I had gotten a hold of the upcoming schedule for the El Paso Diablos, and saw that July 4th they were actually having a home game, which meant fireworks, and that's what I asked for Christmas for one year. 7 months ahead of time, was I wanted to go on July 4th, and I wanted to go watch the fireworks at the baseball game, and so that's what we did. And it was really memorable for me because my parents made a big deal about it. And they went all out for this particular game because it was like a delayed Christmas present and stuff. And so like, I ate food that I had never eaten at a ball game before. I had I had funnel cake and all this like other cool stuff. Like, I mean, it was awesome. And yeah, and I remember it. I remember it like it was yesterday. So
That's
forever,
cool
forever.
though.
I got one more. I got one more story if I can share.
How many people get maimed in this one, Garrett?
Just one.
Okay.
So I don't know. Do you guys know what fly fishing tubes are?
Yeah.
It's typically they're aluminum tubes that hold a fly rod. And so I grew up fly fishing, and I was maybe 19, and I had an apartment that the complex was like shaped like a U, and in the courtyard was a swimming pool. And we had friends that lived across the courtyard from us. And I had this bright idea. I was like, you guys, we can get all these bottle rockets, and I'll go to my dad's and we'll get a bunch of the fly rod tubes, and we'll bazooka at each other across the courtyard.
Okay.
And so we get all these bottle rockets, and we get set up, 2 teams on each side, and then we start launching them. And we're not hitting anything because they're not accurate. But it's fun. We're laughing, and then my roommate fires this one across the courtyard, and it hits one of the guys in his sweater, and it gets caught in the sweater. And so they're frantically trying to take the sweater off of him. They do get the sweater off, but he did get some burns on his nipple, which is awesome. So I was not able, however, to get the smell of sulfur out of the tubes, and my dad was very pissed.
Wow. That's like a burned nipple for 4th of July.
Yeah. Happy Independence Day.
Yeah, I'm gonna see what's going on with my audio here.
Yeah, that's
still really quiet.
Yeah, it's still a little low, man. It went from really good to now it sounds like you're a little far away.
Yeah, it's kind of thinking back on it now. I'm kind of surprised that we did so many fireworks too, because my dad was in Vietnam during the Tet Offensive time, and he had what we know now as PTSD.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised we did so many fireworks back in the day, like, because he would have flashbacks sometimes by watching like the Platoon or Vietnam movies or whatever. So I'm surprised that when we would shoot off some big stuff, like big mortar stuff, like crazy stuff. I don't know what we were thinking back in the day.
How about now?
It's still the same, man.
What the crap?
It's all good, man. While you're figuring that out, no, it's interesting. My father had that issue too, Ben. But he always wanted to see fireworks. He always wanted to go to a ball game. Always wanted to do fireworks and stuff. And to him, it never got better. Like they, at the ball game during the fireworks, and I think this kind of is like the standard, because they always play music during fireworks shows. This is like the standard around Independence Day when they're doing fireworks. They get, they have to put, they have to play Lee Greenwood. God bless the USA.
Yeah.
But man, I lamented on on our Father's Day episode. I get my emotion from my father, and he would, man, whenever Lee Greenwood came on, man, he would, and fireworks were going off ahead of him, he would tear up every time. Just and it gets me too, man. Like I listen to Lee Greenwood, and I always takes me back to those fireworks, those fireworks shows with my dad and stuff. So, but good times, good memories. Glad that you could join me. You two could join me for our Independence Day. And this is an exciting time. We're, this week, gentlemen, this week we're embarking on Las Vegas, a show 2 years in the making, PCA 2021, the first OG trade show in 2 years since 2019. Let's give some perspective here, okay? Because I wanted to share some things. All right. 2 years ago, I was about to celebrate my second anniversary of this show, and now we're in year 4. Yes, I can do math, but that just kind of gives you an idea of how long it's been. Ben, you are now with the Cigar Coop team. You were with an entirely different media group. Garrett, you guys had just started How About That Cigar, and now you guys will be embarking on your first, as a media group, will be embarking on your first PCA trade show. There's a lot that's happened in the last 2 years, including my first big question for tonight. So as we get into our major point, I always want to remind people that our major point is brought to you by Barracoa Cigar Company. Barracoa Cigar Company is excited to announce the relaunch of the Voyage. I personally couldn't wait for the cigar to come back. It's been over 3 years, but now with the revamped blend coming out of one of the hottest factories in the industry, Danny Vasquez has promised that if you love the original blend, you're going to absolutely be in love with the relaunch. So it all relaunched back in April. So back in the spring, it has come back in. So check out your local retailers to see if they will carry Barracoa Cigar Company. Some already have. Pay attention to sunscigar.com. That is where the launch happened. Stay tuned for more details on all the social media page for Barracoa Cigar Company. And remember, never settle. Barracoa Cigars. So, gentlemen, first question for tonight is we were going to see it last year, but we are finally going to see a trade show without the big 4. No General, no Altadis, no Davidoff, no Drew Estate. Will the show, I'm going to you, Ben, first, because you have attended more trade shows than anyone else on this panel. Ben, will the trade show feel exorbitantly different with the absence of those 4?
Oh yeah, 100% it will. I mean, all 4 of them had a huge footprint at that show. I mean, they were some of the biggest booths at the show. So not having them there is going to feel, it can feel one of 2 ways. It can either feel like have an empty kind of feeling where it seems like there's a big void that hasn't been filled out, or it can feel a little bit more intimate, I guess, in a way. Like, so actually now some of the other brands can be more showcased without having these giant 4 booths in the middle of the trade show.
Mm-hmm.
Monopolize so much of the space and time of everybody. So it can go either way, have a nice little cozy feel or feel real empty. I'm always positive, so I think it's going to be a little bit more of a intimate, cozy feel with some of the other brands. But it's going to be different. It's going to be really, really different. I'm kind of wondering what's going to be like without them on there, without them being at the trade show, because they were a major, major, major part of the show. Without them there, it's going to be very, very different. So it's going to be interesting to see what the dynamics are with the trade show without the big 4 being there.
Which loss will be felt the most? Or do you think is it just so much of the collective, or do you think it's just is there one that stands out in your mind of all the years that you've been Ben, that you're like, man, it feels weird that X isn't here?
No, I think all 4 of it's going to be equally felt as being a big loss. I mean, because when you were saying that, I was thinking like, okay, who would be a bigger deal to not being there? Who would feel the most weird not being there? But all 4 of them have such an impact on that show. It's hard to say. At first, I was going to say probably Drew Estate, because they've always been a big part of the show. They've always been a big part of all of us in the media, you know. So it would be, I thought it would be the strangest them not being there from the media side, but really, I mean, not having any of the Ford there is just going to be a major impact. I don't know if I could really pick out one that would be the most felt over the other ones, because all four of them are really a big loss to that show.
It's going to be interesting from this aspect of it. And Garrett, I'm going to come to you in a second, because again, I know you, unfortunately, you haven't had this experience, but Ben knows what I'm talking about with this. Is that, you know, all four of these companies would require a lot of the cigar media time, right? And that's, please don't mistake my tone here. This isn't a negative. It was incredible that all four of these really large companies wanted and welcomed in cigar media each and every year. But because these booths and these companies are so large, they demanded a long time. I mean, most appointments are 10 minutes to 30 minutes long with some of these booths. And I mean, we easily, Ben, I don't know about you, but and you might have even spent longer, but I mean, I believe one time, I think even General was an hour and a half at one point.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, that's a lot of time a lot of time on the show floor that's kind of given back to us. I still have a feeling it's still going to be a blur, my personal take on it, but you know, you're going to be booking and going just like normal. But I think that's the one thing that kind of stands out, is that it is that, you know, there's a lot of free time that is freed up from not having to go to these larger booths and everything. And again, that's not a knock. We've always appreciated how they've welcomed us in. They've taken such good care of us. Each of those companies did. So their loss is definitely going to be felt from that aspect. But I think at the same time, you know, to turn about a phrase there, Ben, to make lemonade there, you know, we are going to get some time back that we may be able to devote to some people that we couldn't before.
Yeah, that's totally true. I mean, like our General and Altadis are always the two that really take up a ton of time, because they have a lot of brands under their umbrella, especially General. Like the greatest part with General was they had Victoria there, that she was the PR person, so she would have a very good set schedule for us. So we would go to every brand ambassador, shoot our videos and interviews for each brand. So it would take a long time, because they have a lot of brands under their portfolio. But she made it to where it was very structured, so there was no wasted time, right? And it was the same with Altadas and Davidoff too, where they have multiple brands, so you would spend a lot of time at each one. But General was always the biggest one, and not having them there, like I said, the positive note is, like you said, we'll be able to cover a little bit more to show that we did on Stir Review better, because you would run out of time. There's so many people there at the trade show that you would just run out of time. You couldn't cover everybody. So now that we're not spending usually an hour, there, and Drew Estate is the same way, because they would always have so much come out, right?
Right.
They would be releasing so much stuff. And, Pedro was always so great about taking us around, and Joe getting that all set up at Drew Estate, and it flowed pretty good too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you had to go to Hoya, and then Debonair was in there one year and stuff, and we'd go in there and interview them and stuff. But now we doing all that, though, we would run out of time. We every year we would leave thinking, God, I wish we could have covered X or Y brand or whatever, and gone to see somebody or whatever. Where now we're basically going, I mean, it's probably the equivalent of a half a day or probably maybe a whole day back on time, to where we can actually cover more booths.
Yeah,
At
definitely.
least that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I feel like it's still going to be a blur. Now, Garrett, before I pivot a question to you real quick, again, this was billed by, the reason I selected you gentlemen specifically to come onto the show, and I still owe Garrett his own spotlight show so we can explore his journey in the cigar industry. But what's the reason I billed you guys to come onto the show as I thought it was a really unique perspective that we could offer. You know, Ben, you've been to, this will be your, what number trade show will this be for you?
Oh my God, I don't know. My
This
first one was in 2005. So
and you,
I think 9th or 10th, I think, because there was a couple of years that I couldn't make it.
Mhm.
So I
I
think
thought this was number 12 for some reason.
it could be. It could. So I missed the Houston show, and I missed one of the Vegas shows because that's when I moved from Houston to Tallahassee, Florida. So I missed those two shows. It's been a shit ton. Let's put it that way. I don't know the number exactly.
That's how many Ben's been to. He doesn't even remember anymore. And Garrett, like I mentioned before, how about that cigar? Well, Matt has been to a few trade shows in the past. This will be your first, not trade show because you went to TPE earlier this year, but this will be, how about that cigar's first PCA show and your first PCA show? Before I pivot to this question to you, because I want to hear about your perspective on something. I mean, what's your general perception of going to the PCA trade show? I mean, I know you're excited. Tell us a little bit about what you're feeling as you kind of are going into your first PCA trade show.
Yeah, it certainly is excitement. It's also, you know, I feel like this is kind of a make or break for a lot of things. You know, the show in general being that, you know, going back to 2019, the PCA was on this, you know, kind of re-strategizing, trying to figure things out. So, you know, obviously me never being there, I didn't have a whole lot of clout to give my perspective or my opinion on a lot of this, but just looking at it from the sidelines, from what I've heard, it is, I feel like this show is, if not the last one, very close to the last one for the PCA to show that they are the premium show, that they deserve to be there to make it right for manufacturers, retailers, media, and everybody combined, along with everything that the PCA does from a legislative standpoint. So I'm excited to see all of that and hopefully be a part of the PCA flourishing. You know, I want this to be a success. I want them to win. I think that it can be a great organization. So that's what I look forward to seeing.
Awesome. Good. I mean, I'm so glad that you guys are going to get to go as a media group. This is something that I mean, it's kind of, I know it's probably hard to imagine, but it's just something I've wanted for you for the last couple of years. You know, you guys couldn't go your first official year together. Y'all had some you know, family stuff that y'all needed to take care of. And then of course last year, you know, COVID hit, nobody gets to go. So this is really exciting, and I'm really excited that you get to be a part of it and get to experience it for the first time. And you're right. I want nothing but success for it. I want the trade show to continue because, you know, I just started going. This will be my third. You know, I want to get to the point where Ben, like with Ben, where I don't even remember. I'm not even keeping track anymore. You know,
Yep.
Ben's belt is notched out, as they say. But go back to the original question here, Garrett. So again, you've never experienced the trade show with those four. You don't know what that feeling's like. But walking into a trade show, no, I mean, you've been a part of this industry. You've been a cigar lover for years. You've smoked those cigars for years and everything. You've built up relationships with those companies as well. Going into this trade show, I mean, how's that going to feel knowing you're not going to see Drew Estate? And with that, Hoya de Nicaragua, you're not going to see General and all those brands and all those brand ambassadors like Justin Andrews and, you know, and Rodriguez and you know, Sean with Cohiba and all those guys, and Altadis with you know, all the legendary brands, and Rafael Nodal, who's just an icon. So I mean, what's that going to, and of course I don't want to leave out Davidoff, of course. I mean, the premier, one of the premier cigar brands in the world, if not arguably the premier brand. I mean, so what's that going to feel like are you going to feel like it's lacking? Do you feel like you're getting gypped? Let me ask you that.
Oh, absolutely not. I don't. I think it allows for some of the smaller brands to get more attention that they maybe wouldn't have. And I think there's a lot of boutique brands out there that, do deserve some of that buzz. And so I think that leaves room for them. My biggest disappointment would be the Davidoff team. And I say that only because, yes, they were at TPE, but every time we walked by the booth, they were busy, didn't have a chance. And so I really wanted to talk to Davidoff about Zeno and the whole rebranding. And so for me, that's the biggest disappointment out of the big four. And I know that there'll be other shows, and hopefully the big four will come back and I'll get to experience that. But it's just sad to see. So I'm a huge Zeno lover. I've loved Zeno for a long time. And when they decided to rebrand and do some different things, that was something that I really wanted to kind of dig into and find out more about.
So that's a great segue into the follow-up question that I wanted to ask both of y'all. Ben, from your perspective, again, out of the three of us, you have some of the deepest relationships here with all four of these companies. Do you see an avenue where any of them, okay, I'm not saying all, any of them come back to the PCA trade show in the near future? And also near future being defined as in with the next 5 years. We'll say 5 years. Within 5 years.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah. I mean, they'll both figure out that they need each other a lot. It's, the PCA, they'll work. I know they'll work this out. There's no doubt in my mind, because both groups want to work it out. They're really, because they know they need each other. So I don't think it's not a doubt in my mind that all four will be back at the PCA trade show. It's just whether or not the trade show will stay in its current form or not. That's a real question. But I just no doubt in my mind that all four will be back relatively soon.
All four. Oh, so you're really positive. All four will be back within 5 years.
Well, of course. I mean, there's advantages for all of them to be working together. I mean, just the PCA does a lot, for for legislative causes and stuff like that. And it's also the benefit for them to be successful is for the big four to be there and help support that. It's in their best interest for the PCA to succeed too. One, in their legislative efforts, like I just talked about, but also in basically getting the retailers and the manufacturers together under one roof, to discuss the game plan for the next year of selling their brands in the retailer shops and getting quality product out. So it only makes sense that they'll work their differences out and come back. It's going to hurt both of them if this doesn't happen, and that's why I don't see it happening. Them staying away very long.
So I have a hot take. I want to get y'all's opinion on this. And it comes with a caveat, okay? But here's my hot take. I don't think Drew Estate ever comes back. Here's the caveat to this, okay? The caveat is the flavored cigar conundrum gets figured out one way or another. Either flavored cigars are banned here on forever, for always. No grandfather clause, nothing, just they're gone. Or in some form or fashion, they're welcomed in. But there's a finite hammer, nailed down rule, one way or the other, about flavored cigars. Again, I don't have this is with no inside knowledge, because I have a great relationship with Drew Estate. This is with no inside knowledge. I have never asked, and I've never asked for this information. This is purely my opinion. But I don't think Drew Estate comes back while that issue is unresolved. And that's because I think the premium cigar industry, which is represented by the PCA, like you said, Ben, spearheaded. I think they've kind of turned their back on flavored cigars. And that's Drew Estate's. I mean, that's Drew Estate's bread and butter, man. I mean, if flavored cigars are banned, I'm Drew Estate will survive because of who owns them and who backs them and everything. There will be and Drew Estate will still be a force too. That is my prediction, but they're still going to lose a huge, massive part of their portfolio, their revenue stream. And unfortunately, probably some of their infrastructure will have to go if they're forced to give up this piece. And if I'm Drew Estate, I'm not feeling any kind of love and protection for what a huge portion of my business is. And so that's my hot take, is I don't think Drew Estate comes back while that's still in limbo of any kind. Garrett, I'll get your thoughts.
It's an interesting take. My gut feeling is to disagree, because Drew Estate has really rebranded themselves, and sure, they have the acid line, they have the Deadwood series, a few others that really do make up a good share of their offerings. That being said, with all the other lines that have been successful, I look at that part of the business as such a profound part of the marketplace that when we look at the PCA and we see the draw for manufacturers is to, many of them, especially the ones that are making, millions of cigars a year, give out these great show deals, that not only do they showcase new brands, and the PCA has kind of been the premium place to do that. I see, and look, Drew Estate has been a contributor to the PCA, to other legislative pieces, and been involved with that. So I'm going to disagree, and I'm going to go along with Ben and say, I would say within 3 years, we'll see Drew Estate back at the show with or without flavored cigars or infused cigars.
Okay. I mean, I'm certainly hope you guys are both right. I really love the positive attitude. It's just, that's just again, this is with no inside information. I think this is just more how I would react. I know that Drew Estate is a huge proponent and supporter of the industry. They were, a huge part of the founding of CRA. Jonathan has been a huge proponent of the industry, and they do a lot for the industry. So this isn't, and I don't think they're holding out. And to that point, I don't think any of the four holding them out is a stick it to the industry move. I don't think that at all. I know a lot of people feel that way. I don't feel like that at all. I think that there are business interests and questions and interest and issues within the relationship with PCA that just came to a head that resulted in this decision. So and I think they also think while they were announced together, and it kind of seemed like a very much a united move, and it certainly was in certain aspects. I think the reasons behind all four of them for staying out of the trade show are very different. Some may be similar, but I think their main motivation, like individually, is very different. Ben, how do you agree with that or disagree with that?
No, I just think Drew Estate, they have the their biggest seller is the acid line by far, right? Their flavored stuff. But they've got so much in the premium cigar world now that it doesn't make a very good business decision to just not deal with PCA at all. It's a big hit for them if they do ban flavored cigars. And honestly, whenever y'all did the show, you and Coop with Glenn and Josh, they were talking about basically they're fighting for what they can for the premium cigars, because with CRA and PCA, most of their members are premium cigars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they thought that might be like a losing battle. I could kind of see that, but I didn't get from them where they just said they're not going to fight for them. Their priority right now is to deal with the premium cigar stuff first, right?
Yeah, the
Once
larger
they
battle.
get that,
I get it. Yeah, the larger
yeah.
battle.
So, and like, you know, they got more business than just that too. So there's no reason to hurt your rest of your business if the flavor stuff goes away. So it's still all, you know, balance sheets and, you know, ROI stuff. So they still have the rest of their line plus stuff with Hoya and, you know, and everything. So it doesn't make any business sense to stay away, even if the premium, I mean, the flavor stuff is banned anyway.
You know, our good friend Luciano Meireles is tuning in, and he brings up the point, of course, that, you know, Drew Estate is owned by Swisher. Swisher's owned by a larger company. Even in that larger company, it's controlled by a larger investment group. So there's a, I mean, there's a lot of people making decisions that we don't know. So it's a, you know, you know, it's a business transaction. It's a business move that, you know, that we probably don't even know the motivation. So that's a very fair point from Luciano.
Absolutely. And well, and look at what happened in that Sherman. Not that they're, you know, on the same playing field necessarily, but you know, Swisher could decide to do what Swisher wants to do. And that might not be in the playbook for them. I certainly hope not. I know that, you know, a lot of us were concerned about what was going to happen to Drew Estate after the acquisition. But, you know, over the last several years, we haven't seen anything but great products come out of Drew Estate. So I'm still hopeful.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And we got to remember too, we're all looking at this from the standpoint of just the United States. Swisher, one of the big advantages of Drew Estate being with Swisher now is they have a much larger avenue of revenue stream outside of the U.S.
Right.
So, I mean, they could be pushing, I don't know this because I haven't talked to them about this with Drew Estate, as I'm talking about, that acids and the rest of the flavor stuff has gone outside the United States, like in the Asian market or in Europe. I'm not real sure what their footprint is out there now, but you know, there's so many people that are taking a lot of their stuff to the European market and the Asian markets now because of the FDA scare of premium stuff. So I can't see them not doing the same thing with the flavored cigars too. So the loss here in the United States would be a monumental loss, but they can still make it up by broadening that portfolio out to the rest of the world, especially the Asian market.
No, absolutely. So it's interesting because we were, you know, you were, I don't mean to ping pong too much in the conversation, but we were talking about the real estate, right, that they owned on the trade show floor. You know, Ben, to put this in perspective, when you and I were looking at the trade show map the other day, Gurkha now holds the biggest booth space. So, I mean, and Gurkha's always been a large booth. I don't think it's changed any. I don't think they increased and I don't think they decreased, but they were always a large booth, but that is the largest booth now. And if you think about how big that was before, Ben, you know, it seemed like it was a decent size booth, but comparatively speaking, I mean, it was dwarfed by these other companies that we talked about. And it's now going to be the quote unquote king of the real estate when it comes to the trade show, which it's kind of interesting to think about it that way.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by how much the Perdomo booth has been scaled back, because that was always one of the bigger booths too, and now it's going to be about a quarter the size of what normally is now. So that'll be it's interesting to see, like, even the companies that are going to PCA, that their booth they've scaled their booth back, you know, which is probably a good idea, to be honest. I mean, let's be honest, the booth spots are not cheap, and getting them set up is not cheap. I mean, it's crazy the cost that they have to put out to go to this trade show. So I get it makes sense.
Well, Nick also doesn't do anything halfway, so I imagine even though it's scaled back in size, it's still going to look immaculate, like it always does. So I have a feeling like even it'll be just like you know, the mini version of that amazing booth. He always does everything so, you know, so like to the nines, man. I mean, he brings his A game to everything. So I think that I think it's still going to look good. I'm really interested. Now, I am very sad, Garrett, for you. You never got to experience the classic Fuente JC Newman booth. So it was set up like almost like an avenue, like a street. Like you went down the center of this, and it was almost like going down like either Calle Ocho in Miami or the street in Tampa in Ybor, where, you know, and you basically saw all these storefronts and everything, and they would have these products all spaced out, but it was basically like walking down a street, and they had the street signs from Tampa that were part of the booth, and I'm sure those will still be incorporated, but they're completely redoing the booth this year. That was planned, by the way. They were getting rid of this old booth, and they were reintroducing this new, but they were going to do this last year, but this will be the year we see it. So I am sad that you won't be able to experience that, Garrett. From stories that you've heard, other than the big four, from stories that you've heard, or, you know, coverage that you've paid attention to over the years, what's one of your biggest disappointments that you're not going to be able to witness or see?
That's a really good question. You know, I had heard about the Fuente Street, and that was probably going to be up there. Yeah, I'm grasping at straws here to really find something other than it would have to be, you know, the Fuente JC Newman that you just highlighted. That, but that being said, I also think that Fuente now becomes, you know, one of the premier booths at the trade show without the big four. Yeah, Gurkha might have the real estate, but now Fuente really has, excuse me, the opportunity to be the premier place.
And I know that excites you personally, because I know you have such a personal rich history with that brand. I mean, that was the very first cigar. That was the very first premium cigar you ever smoked.
It was, and hooked me from the start. Hemingway Classic in 1997. I believe it was the very next day I bought my first humidor, and it was a cigar jar. I don't know if you've ever seen a cigar jar, but that's what started me. And I even met Rocky and Nish my very first week smoking cigars. I had no idea who they were. I didn't know that they were the rock stars that they were. And they both gave me amazing advice on how to develop my palate, you know. And I was a 19-year-old kid, and I was treated as an equal. I always thought that this was something that, you know, only rich people really enjoyed, and that was not the case. So, yeah, Fuente has a very special place in my heart because it's where it all started for me.
That's really exciting. You know, Luciano was talking about how we were, you know, mentioning, you know, these bigger companies and stuff like that, and we were talking earlier about how it's going to give us the opportunity to to spend more time with these brands that, you know, or even like not just Fuente and these other, and Rocky and some of these other companies that we've, you know, we were able to spend time with before, but now we're able to devote time to even some of the smaller brands. Like Ben, you talk about some of the brands that you missed over the years, you know, or maybe you would skip a year and you wouldn't be able to get to just because there isn't time, right? Ben, I know I don't want to speak out of turn here, but one of the, when we were talking about, I mean, we kind of saying it with a chuckle, just because, I mean, they're an unknown brands, but you and I have both heard of them. But you and I are both excited to attend Desiree's booth, Drunken Chicken Cigars.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm personally kind of stoked to go check her out. We got an appointment booked with her and everything, and I'm jacked about it, because you know, I'm gonna bring this back to you, Garrett, because you and I were speaking last night about new cigar brands off, you know, obviously off camera. So I want to bring you back into this, but you know, Ben, you know, with this renewed time that we're gonna have and this opportunity that we were speaking about earlier in the show, I mean, other than what I just mentioned, I mean, what are you most excited about?
Well, what you just talked on, right? So I always love, so with Stunner Review, we always did it. We had a schedule, right? We try to keep to it as best we could. Usually after the first day is blown all to hell, because one of my number one rule is, and it's not going to change with Coop, is don't interrupt business. So we have an appointment at say 10 o'clock, you know, Saturday morning or whatever. We go in and I see who we're supposed to talk to is dealing with some clients or whatever. We'll wait it out. If it gets too long, we'll move on and come back, you know, or something. So what's kind of cool about that though is, and this is what I always look forward to every year, is usually when that happens, you know, we will go find a little booth that is someone we don't know, that we don't know their product or nothing like that. We'll pop in and say, hey, you want to give us like 5 minutes to do a booth, you know, interview, and let's talk about your new stuff. Every year I find something special at the show. There's something that I haven't seen before, a new cigar line or something that it just blows my mind. Like, oh man, this is fantastic. Or this is a really cool company. Happens every year. I don't care how busy it is. We'll always find this one little gem or more of the trade show that if we hadn't got thrown off schedule, or we needed something to fill some time in between interviews, you know, that we'll find walking around the trade show. We'll just pop in and say, hey, you got a moment? So that's always been something I kind of enjoy, the kind of that spontaneity, kind of chaos or whatever you want to call it, that we get there. You always find these people that are, you know, these booths that have these boutique brands, or not even a brand. It could be, you know, like a new cigar tool or lighter company or any kind of accessory. It's like, oh, that's a pretty cool idea. You know, I'm glad you're bringing that out. I think that'll be real useful. That's always something I look forward to. So I think that'll be cool to see at the trade show this year too.
No, absolutely, and I think that's something that I'm excited about with teaming up with you. You and I are going to be going around doing. We're actually going to be doing interviews. It's the first time that Cigar Coop has done this type of coverage with the trade show. We're still going to do the content like we've done for years, but we're also going to be adding this interviewing piece, which is, you know, something that you pioneered with Stogie Review. So I'm also really excited about taking on this piece, but also going into, you know, a realm that, you know, I'm obviously a consumer of. I have tons of cigar accessories, but I just have really never gotten too knee deep in that particular part of the industry. So I'm super excited to be exposed to that and learn from you in that regard. So Garrett, just to bring this back, just to bring back you into the conversation about this part though, about being excited about new brands and stuff like that. And it's kismet that Luciano is actually in the chat, because, you know, this is something that I was talking about with Garrett last night, was this, and feel free to disagree or agree with me, gents. The sad thing that I am saddened about is that, you know, while we're going to go see Desiree at Drunken Chicken, and there's a couple of new brands that are actually going to be at the trade show this year and have booths, in all likelihood, because we've seen brands come and go in this industry. And unfortunately, in all likelihood, Ace Prime may be the last grand introduction that we ever see at a PCA trade show. When they came out 2 years ago, they had the amazing boot. They came out with all those lines. They came onto the market with the Fury. I mean, they were headline sponsor. Luciano spoke at the introductory breakfast. I mean, they were, about as all in as you could be, right? And it was a grand introduction into the industry. I mean, it was beautiful. I just don't think we're ever going to see that again. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer about it, but given the continued heat from the FDA and the way that this industry is going, I just don't see that ever happening again. We'll see some new brands pop up here and then, but nothing like that again. How do you guys feel? Garrett, I'll come to you because you and I talked a little bit about this last night.
Yeah, and what I said to you last night was Ace Prime and Crown Heads is a perfect marriage. It really is. The two brands really complement themselves. And, if Mil Diaz and Juarez are any indication of what they're capable of, and not to mention, I know they gave us, Luciano was great. He gave us some teasers at the TPE so I am super excited about that. I can't really speak to the grand entrance of premiering a brand like that anymore. I think you're probably right in that, where a new brand owner, even if they have deep pockets, is still probably going to be a little shy to invest in something like that. But I think the marriage between Ace Prime and Crown Heads is going to create a special kind of buzz that will be special in its own way. And I think,
Sure.
All the collaborations that we've been seeing over the last few years, some people love it, some people hate it, both from a, consumer and a manufacturer standpoint. It's going to be their deal or it's not going to be their deal. But I think this could be they're paving the way for others to really come together and create something special. So that's what I hope to see, and that's what I could see going forward. It's the buzz factor, and that's what I'm really jazzed about too.
Ben, what about you? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you because kind of like what I was talking about earlier, but with going to the trade show and finding this new a gem at the trade show that I didn't expect. Well, the last trade show was Ace Prime. That was my gem of the trade show for 2019. Because when I walked in that booth, I was like, "Wow, this is freaking awesome! This is amazing." And then meeting Dominic Wilkins, wow, that was like a boyhood idol of mine. So it's like I kind of like probably got a little weird at that moment, but they were amazing. The cigars were outstanding. But I kind of agree with you, and it goes back to what I said earlier about when the Big Four left and when they ever come back. Was I think they will, but I think the way we know the trade show as it is in the past or even now is going to be a lot different. And only because I say, like, within my industry, right, there's a lot of trade shows. I work at IT. There's a lot of trade shows, right? But they're all gone virtual, right? And all of those trade shows actually worked better virtual. Now, I know the cigar industry is a little bit different, right? Because you have products you can sample and you need to be on hand to do that. It's not like you can download it, right? And run it on a test server or something like that. But I just think the trade show is going to evolve into something different. So having these grand booths and grand entrances like you're talking about, like that Ace Prime did, I think you're right. It's not going to be like that anymore. It'll be something different. It's going to morph into something different, probably better, you know. But we'll see. But I think you're right on that point.
Yeah, that was a fun moment meeting Dominique and Tiago, and that experience was amazing. And then I got to meet Luciano for the first time, and we've developed such a great friendship, and that's that's the kind of thing that I hope continues. I hope to meet the next Luciano. I mean, he's an incredibly unique individual. I mean, there's nobody like him at all. But you guys know what I'm talking about. Like, I want to meet the next person that's going to do that. Like, I want to, Garrett, you and I were talking offline last night. Like, I want to meet the next Pete Johnson. I want to meet the next person who's going to make those waves and make that impact in the industry. And 20 years from now, 20 years from now, I think we're going to be talking about Luciano the way that we talk about Pete Johnson today and what Pete Johnson did for the industry in the last 20 years. And Pete stands on the shoulders of Fuente and Padron, and and it's just it continues to build, and I hope it continues that way, because I think it's I mean, that's why we're here. That's what we do. That's why we love this.
So I think we have a handful of younger trailblazers that are coming up, and obviously we'd be remiss not to give a nod to people like AJ, to give a nod to Indiana, who in her young age, look at what she's doing. Sure. And so I think the future is bright with some really cool minds, and obviously the industry is embracing these new people with new ideas, and I'm excited to see what the next 5-10 years looks like.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Garrett. I think that look, the industry has a ton of youth in it, like very talented youth, that I think is going to really going to carry this industry into the next into the next decades to come. So I think you're absolutely right into that point, Garrett. So here's a question that I wanted to ask you. This is going to be kind of an interesting dynamic of a question, because again, Garrett, you're the FNG, you're the old guard, Ben. So Ben, I'm going to come to you first on this. What's a piece of advice that you can share with Garrett that you wish someone had told you going into your first PCA trade show?
Don't think you can cover the whole trade show with the first time. It'll never happen. I don't care how small this thing is going to be. Don't kill yourself trying to get to everybody, because you're not going to. You just prioritize the best you can and do the best you can. That's all you can do. Because I remember even though I say that, every year we kill ourselves trying to get to everybody. You got to do the best you can, but you're not going to. I'll tell you this right now: you're not going to be able to get to everybody. So try to make a schedule if you can, and stick to it the best you can, and just hopefully you can do everything you set out, all your goals you set out to. But don't kill yourself. That's for sure. But that'd be my best piece of advice there. But I want to go back our last little segment we talked about. There's one point that I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
That it came to my mind. Garrett brought up Indiana Ortiz. She's a freaking amazing. I mean, she is so awesome. I mean, great blender and everything. I think we're talking about the next disruptor or whatever to the market coming in. I think it's going to be women in the industry. I really do. Because here's why. For one, and I've noticed this at a lot of cigar shops, there's more and more and more women cigar smokers, women cigar clubs, even women come and start doing their own cigar reviews, and it's freaking awesome. I love it. And you're starting to see more women in the industry that aren't just, models like, oh, look at this cigar. No, they're actually active in it. They're brand ambassadors or they're brand owners coming out with great stuff. You know, Indiana, she's the perfect example of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's who's going to be your next, you know, star, if you want to call it that. I hate calling anybody the cigar world star or whatever, but you know, the next, you know, personality or whatever you want to call it. I think it's going to be a woman. I really do, and I think that's the market that's going to be growing the most. You know, instead of it just being a boys' club like it's been for decades now.
Right.
I think that's where we're going to see the biggest evolution is in that side,
Well,
and I hope it will be.
No, it's a great point, Ben, because we were talking about Fuente earlier, right? I mean, who's making the mark on that company right now? It's Liana Fuente.
Exactly right.
You know, I mean, she's, you know, look, Carlito's not going anywhere. But, or Cynthia, of course. Yeah. But what Liana Fuente is doing with that company, you know, that's next. Now she's not a blender or anything, like Indiana is, which goes to your point, Ben. Like, these women are going to be disruptors in different facets. We're going to see them in all parts of the business. And we were talking about this a little bit offline. I loved what McAuliffe did with Amanda's book. Amanda McAuliffe did this promotional book where they talk about women in the industry, and that they featured. This was just McAuliffe partners, right? Just the cigar shops that they work with. Okay, and they've got a great footprint in the industry, but yet they're still building and growing as a smaller as a newer company. They featured all the women that either own one of the partnerships they went or run one of their partners, the stores. And that list, gentlemen, was long and distinguished. And that is something that's really exciting to me. Because I think that, you know, forever and for always, and I say this, it's almost every week, I say how what we're smoking, gentlemen, this is the great equalizer. Yep. This is the great equalizer. It brings people from all walks of life, doesn't care about what you make, doesn't care about what color your skin is. It doesn't care about what your political affiliation is. It doesn't care. And they bring people together. So Ben, why not? You're right. Why not?
I mean, you're talking. You brought up Amanda. Like that was one I forgot to bring up. You know, and Coop, and I thought about this too whenever we started talking, but Coop brought it up in the chat. It was Laurel Tilley. She's the brand ambassador for Macanudo.
Right.
I mean, she's awesome.
She's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of great women in the cigar business, and that segment of the market is just blowing up. And it's awesome to see. It really is.
You want to hear an awesome thing? Great, real quick, just on Laurel's point.
Yep.
You know what the number one take of 2020 was? The number one take, the most watched, most listened to, most downloaded take of 2020 was. It was my interview with Laurel Tilley.
That's not surprising. It really isn't.
No, she's fantastic.
Yeah, she's incredible. Yeah.
She knows her stuff, but she has a magnetic personality. She's really good brand ambassador. Perfect brand ambassador.
Yep. And I think slowly but surely, we are starting to move away from women in cigars as being a TNA session. And it is becoming more of a hobby for women now, and it's being more widely accepted and celebrated. And we need to continue to support that as men and not continue to, put women in that, TNA category where you just got to be a pretty face with cigars and tits. It's because that should go away, in my opinion. And I know there's always going to be guys out there who like that. There's going to be women out there who want to, display their goods. I get that. That's fine, but that's not all what this is for women. And so they shouldn't be defined for that.
And also on top of that too, it's not just that, but it's also that debutante view too, where it's not ladylike to smoke. I mean, I'm a history nerd, right? Reading some books back in the day, the turn of the century, women smoking cigarettes. It's like, oh my God, she's smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
That's a faux pas. You can't do this. Women can't smoke tobacco. You know, there's also that barrier that's just being completely blown up, and I love it. I mean, I love it. When I go to a cigar shop and I see a women's cigar club there having an event, dude, it like that's so awesome. It's so freaking awesome because
Yes.
I never thought that, you know, that cigars was just a boys club thing. You know, it's just silly.
We need people. The industry needs people. And
Yep.
Right.
you know, we were talking about, you know, you mentioned about the model influencer aspect of that, Garrett. You know, I mean, this is why Indiana Ortez is gained so much. She gained so much popularity, yes, but the behind that is a foundation of tobacco knowledge that, gentlemen, if we combined all of our tobacco knowledge, that's how much she's forgotten, you know. And so there's that foundation behind that, and to bring about the social media age and everything, the amount of people that she's been able to reach because she's a woman has been outstanding. And that is the power that excites me. It excites me because not only is she an incredible talent, an incredible wealth of knowledge, but she also gets the game. She knows, she gets the new world. And her influence is going to be felt for decades to come, not only because what she brings to the table from her generation's deep wealth of knowledge, but also the fact that she understands how this world is going. So great point. Great point, Ben. Really awesome. So I want to use this to kind of break up our show tonight. We're going to go into what I call our fun segments. So we've got our one must go, and so our one must go is, as always, is brought to you by United Cigars, featuring La Giana Havana, distributors of Jose Dominguez, Bandolero, Garofalo, and the highly acclaimed Atabey and Byron lines. Smoke one today and start living united. Now, gentlemen, we were talking about Independence Day earlier, and you guys had some hilarious fireworks stories. So I have a feeling that, you know, I already know some of the decisions here, but we're going to bring Independence Day tradition into the One Must Go segment. So one's got to go, gentlemen. You guys know the rules of the game here. I'm going to give you three things, and one's got to go. So from here on out, on Independence Day, you have to give up one of these three things. Okay. Fireworks, the food, or sports. So I know, I realize some people aren't a baseball fan, but there's a lot of other sports that go around the 4th of July aspect of it. Sports, food, fireworks. Which one goes? From here on out, your Independence Day is sans one of these things. What gets kicked to the curb?
That's kind of easy for me, though.
Oh, I was going to say, Ben, I'm coming to you. Here we go.
So I'm fat, so it won't be food, obviously. I absolutely adore the game of baseball. Sports. I'm a big sports fan, but like we were talking earlier, to me, baseball has a magic about it too. That, like, you know, it's still like it just, you know, brings out the little kid in me still. So it had to be fireworks, and probably because I already have given that up, moving to, you know, I've been living in big cities now, so I can't shoot my own fireworks. And to me, watching them is not the same as doing my own. So it would definitely be giving up fireworks. Have to be.
Okay. Garrett, we're going to come back to the food thing. I want to come back to that. But Garrett, what's yours?
Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. Yeah, they're all very special. Well, It's definitely not food. That is the no-brainer for me. That's the stay. I'm just trying to think. I mean, for us in my sphere, while I also love baseball, and I love, I mean, to see, you know, even the minor league games, what they do for 4th of July pregame celebrations and honoring servicemen and women and all of that. You know what? I'm actually gonna agree with Ben. I'm gonna go sans fireworks.
Sans
Even though
fireworks.
sports, yeah. Yep,
Interesting.
final answer.
Okay. This is a really hard question for me. So I really kind of had to think about it. The fireworks is so nostalgic for me though, as I kind of talked about earlier. It's because the fireworks incorporates everything, right? It incorporates the sports. It incorporates my family. You know, it even brings the food in and stuff like that. I love the food. So I was posting this thing earlier. I saw this I guess this photo, this chart thing about you know, like what was your like 15, it was like a 50, you know, you have $15 to spend and you had like these tiers of food. I think Tyler Jeffrey, I think, posted it. And I went with it, but it was like you know, there's some things that I have to have on the 4th of July, man. Apple pie, hot dogs, you know, you just gotta do that. I I weirdly have to say sports by default, but the fireworks kind of encompasses that because I mean, I know that places put on fireworks without sports, but you know, watching fireworks at a baseball game is kind of, you know, that's kind of it for me. So sports kind of gets lumped in by default. I think it's a really hard question though, but I thought it'd be an interesting one. Must go. Why is it the fireworks so insignificant for you guys? Is it just because do you think it's more of a child's thing, childhood wonderment, or it's lost its luster over the years? Just curious.
The fireworks?
Yeah.
Well, because for me, like I said, growing up, I always did my own fireworks. Like I would go light off my own stuff. So watching it to me is kind of like my son will watch somebody play video games on Twitch. To me, it's like, what? Why the hell are you doing? You go play that game yourself. So me seeing somebody shoot off fireworks, like, oh, that's kind of cool. But to me, it's like I'd rather do it myself. You know, the fun is actually doing it yourself, not watching it. To me, what the you know, I'd rather shoot my own fireworks off than watch somebody else do it. So like now living in Dallas, I can't do that. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. And the food part to me, it has to do with family and friends and everybody's together, you know. So, you know, that's what I was saying. Like the food part is there. Plus, at baseball, man, I just love baseball too much. I'm not getting rid of baseball. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, no, it's really hard for me. It's almost like the impossible choice. So this was the graphic that I was talking about. This popped up on social media today, and it was a budget of $15. And I saw a couple of people to participate in it. To me, this is actually a really easy gauntlet to navigate for me personally. But I'm wondering how far off and how different we all are. Okay, so for the purpose of the demonstration, I and rather a struggle with math here. Basically, if you pick one from each tier, there's your $15. Okay, so that's, I mean, that's the easy part. So let's do it this way. Okay, you can pick one food from each tier that they've presented here. So this is kind of a bonus sort of one must go element of it. So I'm interested to hear yours, your pick. So let's start with the $5 line. So you have your choice between beef ribs, brisket, pulled pork, watermelon, or lemonade. Garrett, what's your choice?
It's brisket, hands down.
Okay. Ben.
I would say brisket living in Texas, but I've actually done a lot of pulled pork on 4th of July. So it would be pulled pork for me on that one.
I'm a brisket guy too. I accept pulled pork as a default because it's barbecue and that's American, and so is beef ribs. So if you'd gone with either of those three, it's fine. Look, watermelon has this, it has its place. I get it. You know, I'm not sure why watermelon's in this tier, but that's fine. Lemonade, listen, like there's other beverages on here. We're fine. We can find something to drink. It's okay. We can do without the lemonade. It's fine. So, all right, the $4 tier, you have choice between burgers, carne asada, mac and cheese, apple pie, iced tea. I'm going first. This is no contest. There is no debate. And I'm really excited if one of you guys want to go toe to toe with me on this. It's apple pie all day. There's no choice in this matter. It's apple pie. So who wants to fight me?
No, I'm not mad at you for apple pie. I totally get it. It's one of the most American things, you know, on this list. But I think for me, it's got to be burgers.
Yeah, same with me. I have to go burgers. I mean,
Really?
yeah, definitely. Apple pie. I love apple pie, but that's not really what I mean, Mississippi is where I'm from. If we would do anything, it would be peach cobbler, not apple pie. So, and that iced tea is some kind of, I don't know what the hell that is, but that's not Southern sweet tea. So that's, I don't know what, that's gone.
That looks like a combination between like a mojito and a Long Island iced tea. I don't know what the fuck that picture is.
I don't know. That's not Southern sweet tea, so I can't even pick that monstrosity. That's gone. I mean, a second place to me would be mac and cheese.
Yeah, me too.
Look, I made mac and cheese for dinner tonight. Mac and cheese is great. I was really interested. So I was going through a bunch of Instagram stories today, and they had a bunch of these polls and stuff. And like, I saw the hot dog versus burger poll, and we're gonna get to hot dogs in a second. I saw the hot dog versus burger poll fly through different people's stories, and I was shocked that burgers were crushing hot dogs on July 4th.
No, not at all.
That was weird. I love a good listen. I can eat a cheeseburger almost every day of my life. You know, if someone said, you know, a taco, cheeseburger, you know, yeah, those two things I could crush every day. Like I'm all about those two things. But like on the 4th of July, man, it's got to be a hot dog. But interesting, burgers over those four. Okay, all right, next tier. Here we go. Pork ribs, brats, chips and guac, ice cream, or beer.
Yeah, this is easy too. I mean, I would definitely go pork ribs because I do pork ribs on 4th of July a lot too. That's easy.
Yep, same for me. Pork ribs.
So I chose beer, and there's a story behind this. So you guys were asking me, you asked me what I was drinking earlier, Ben, and I'm drinking a Budweiser. It's the king of beers. So Budweiser is this interesting nostalgic point for me. So Budweiser is this classic lager, right? You know, this macro brewery and everything like that, right? Budweiser has this really definitive taste but specifically aroma. And the aroma of Budweiser reminds me of going to El Paso Diablo games with my father because the El Paso Diablos had a contract with Budweiser, and my dad would always have a beer at every game, and I would always sit next to him, and I could smell it coming out of the cup. I could smell it on his breath. And, you know, yes, he even let his little boy have a sip or two during those games.
Oh, of course.
So Budweiser and baseball go like hand in hand together. And so 4th of July being that, like we were talking about, Ben, with it, how it just kind of it is ingrained with baseball too. That's why I chose beer from this particular lot. I mean, I love all these things, but in fact, there's actually, I don't think there's one thing on this entire list that I know we'll never do. And that's actually in the next tier. We're going to get to that in a second. But there's only one thing on this entire menu that I would not partake in. So which brings us to our next tier. Hot dogs, wings, baked beans, Otter Pops. Strange selection, I got to admit. Or hard seltzer. So I know Quentin Thornation is watching, so I know he's going to choose his Corona hard seltzer. But he's not being asked this question. So hot dogs, wings, big beans, otter pops, or hard seltzer, gentlemen. Garrett,
So this is the most difficult one for me.
Really? Okay.
It's between hot dogs and wings, and that it's a shame that they're in the same tier. Gun to my head, I would have to go hot dogs, but I would hate it that I would have to choose between wings and hot dogs, but hot dogs.
Ben?
Yeah, that one's a little tough too. I don't even know what the hell an otter pop is.
It's a really cheap popsicle, man. You missed out on those?
Yeah.
Like a freezy pop?
We didn't call them otter pops though. Now that I look closer at it, I can see it says, it's those popsicles in a little plastic tube. You can push them up from the bottom and eat them. Right. I remember those. They tasted like shit. So no, not those.
They taste like my childhood.
Yeah. Yeah, I eat a ton of them, but now I realize it was just probably the worst crap you can probably eat.
It's straight corn syrup, man. That's all it is. Like it's frozen corn syrup. That's all it is.
It's probably taken a few years off our life for sure.
Yeah, red 50, yellow number 5, corn syrup, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Now hard seltzer, I've never had it until I had there was a sampling of it at Kroger, and they gave a sample of it. I thought it was kind of unique, but it's not my thing. I bake beans. I make every time I barbecue, I make beans every time. I had wings today. I actually smoked wings on my Traeger today for 4th of July. So the top 2 would be wings and hot dogs. But there's absolutely nothing more Americana on this tier than a damn hot dog. So I have to go hot dog with this. No question.
This was an easy one for me. I'm a big wing guy too. We had baked beans tonight as well. Otter pops, like I said, straight from my child. Hard seltzer is the only thing on this entire list, every tier, that I would not do. I've had one sip of one and I'm done. I'm done. I'm good for the rest of my life. I'm fine. I'm fine. So
I don't mind it. It's okay.
No. I'd listen, if I'm gonna have something that's an offshoot of beer that's not beer, I'm gonna have a cider. A hard cider. But
never had a hard cider either. So
oh well, there's some good ones, man. All right, so last tier. I thought this one was interesting. Potato chips, corn on the cob, macaroni salad, frosted cookies, and Capri Sun. Another blast from the childhood past there on the last one there.
This one actually to me is probably the hardest one.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because the frosted cookies, another garbage food, but it's quintessential holiday, summertime holiday, right? Everybody always had those.
Right.
Macaroni salad never really did. Capri Suns, oddly enough, my mom wouldn't want us to really have many Capri Suns because it was a bunch of sugar. But yet she would always have the house full of little Debbie shit. So I don't know the flavors of that. So to me, it's a tough call between potato chips and corn on the cob. I actually grilled. I had smoked corn on the cob today. I put them on with the wings and smoked corn on the cob for us, and it was outstanding. We would, put Cajun seasoning on them and then put them back in the husk and put them back on there. But I you know what? I'll have to choose potato chips because it goes with everything else that I picked above it. Everything else. So I'd go, potato chips. That's my choice.
There you go. Okay. Garrett.
For me, it's a no-brainer. It's corn on the cob, hands down. There's something about sweet corn and, like you, Ben, I love to grill my corn. I'll either grill it or smoke it. And when it has that sweet pop, oh, it's amazing.
I will shamelessly eat corn on the cob any particular way that I can. I like it boiled even. I like
Yeah,
it
I
in
do
the
too.
oven. I'll do it on the in the grill, rolled in tinfoil, thrown underneath on the coals.
Mm-hmm.
That's how
Yep.
I've always done it. It's really fantastic. You soak the corn with the husks, and then you wrap it in tinfoil and you throw it on the coals underneath the fire. Man, that's awesome. And then I make Mexican street style corn too, with the mayo, the spices, the crema, and the lime. It's the chili flake. It's awesome. It's so good. Um, Yeah, that the corn on the cob is the pick for me. I'm a sucker for macaroni salad though, man. I love macaroni salad. I don't know what it is about it. It's, you know, not particularly, you know, outstanding by any stretch of the imagination. It's one of those just picnic foods that I just absolutely adore. And who doesn't love a good potato chip too? But corn on the cob takes it for me. So yeah, I thought this would be a fun exercise. I really, hats off to Tyler Jeffrey for posting it earlier. Although his choices were awful, but that's okay.
But I tell you what, though, I would have to add a couple of things to this. One being peach cobbler, and two, the other thing is, this is of course a southern Gulf Coast Mississippi kind of a thing, and New Orleans area. We would usually do a crawfish or shrimp boil. That was what we would do
Yeah,
on 4th of July. But now I'm away from all that, so I can't do that anymore. So
the carne asada making an appearance is a kind of an unusual tryst for me. I was kind of perplexed by that one a little bit. I mean, I love a good carne asada. Who doesn't? But I mean, I was like, interesting.
Well, that and the chips and guac are a little Mexicana, which
Yeah.
I mean has its roots in obviously the Southwest, and I don't think that they don't belong on this list, but yeah, I like it though.
Yeah, no, I thought this was really comprehensive. I liked the exercise. I thought it was pretty cool. It was one of those things I just thought, this would be fun to talk about with the guys. So that was kind of a bonus sort of one must go. And really excited to go over that. As always, it's brought to you by United Cigars, featuring La Giana Havana, distributors of Jose Dominguez, Bandolero, Garofalo, and the highly acclaimed Atabey and Byron lines. Smoke one today and start living united. Gentlemen, that was
also the Abuelo.
And the Abuelo. Yeah. Are you smoking that yet?
Yep, I'm on there right now. I'm smoking it as we speak. Well, let's see if I can put it on my camera. This is fantastic. This is their new line. It is awesome, man.
Yeah. And that cigar has some incredibly unique flavor. I really enjoyed it. Really, really did. I'm really stoked about the United's new launch there with JRE Tobacco. Garret, have you had a chance to smoke the Abuelo yet?
I have not.
Hit up Husto when you get to the JRE booth, or we'll try to snag one for you. So good stuff, good times. Well, gentlemen, I really appreciate your participation in that. So the next segment that I'd like to go into, this is something that I started back on my birthday back in October, and since then it's been really, really fantastic, a lot of fun. And so I was really excited to ask you all about your particular takes on this, and the segment, of course, I'm referring to is our charity segment. So starting on my birthday last year, I have asked every single one of my guests, or guests in this case, to bring forth a charity or nonprofit of their choosing that you want to spotlight and potentially raise money for. So I'm really excited about this week's choices. So gentlemen, I'll give a brief introduction to each, and then I'd love for you to talk a little bit about it. So Garret, we're going to kick things off with you. When you and I were talking about this yesterday, I'm really excited about Create Minneapolis, a great organization that has brought a plethora of programs to the Minneapolis St. Paul area there, where you hail from, where it's hands-on STEM learning to inner city Minneapolis students, creating a bridge of skills and experience the gaps in the tech world and traditional education as we know it. Bringing a higher level of education to children and hopefully get them higher placed in today's job market as they start to graduate. And they start programs in kindergarten and they go all the way up through high school. So Garrett, talk to us a little bit about why you chose this program and a couple of other things that I may have missed about it, and why you're so passionate about it.
Yeah, so Create Minneapolis, I met the program director and one of the other, I'm not even sure what Mike does, but I met these two guys at a men's retreat and got to, find out that they were both cigar smokers, and started learning more and more about Create. And being in IT myself, it was just it was something that I was passionate about, especially training young kids. And then on top of that, the neighborhoods that they work in I think this is a beautiful way to get education to places that are underprivileged, underfunded, and get some training for these young people and get them into the workforce. It is just, if you've seen anything about Minneapolis in the last, few years, need some help, and this is a wonderful organization that pours so much love and education into these kids, and to see how they thrive in these programs, it's amazing. So love what they do, and would love to, just help spread the awareness. And hopefully, we did a charity event for them at actually the cigar shop I'm at right now a couple weeks ago. Drew Estate, Roma Craft, Crowned Heads, Christoph, all sent these beautiful care packages for us to raffle off and raise some money for this organization. So yeah, I can't give them a big enough pedestal.
That's awesome, and I think it's really cool because we see a lot of inner city programs, Garrett. Like the Boys and Girls Club comes to mind. There's local chapters all throughout the country, and throngs of other inner city programs that kind of focus on education. And this certainly is obviously one of them, but it's focusing on a different avenue of education, very obviously very specific. But I think it's doing a great service. Not that other programs don't, but I think what Create Minneapolis is doing is it's allowing the children of the Minneapolis-St. Paul area to really rise above as cream of the crop when it comes to the future job market, right? I mean, that's right in their mission statement. I'm pumped for these kids. This is awesome.
Yeah.
What a fantastic organization. Really excited about this particular. Thank you so much for spotlighting it, Garrett. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for spotlighting it.
So our next charity, Ben, you decided to chose the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society. This is another fantastic organization aimed towards veterans. You speak to my heart with this, which is their mission, of course, is to provide a partnership with the Navy and Marine Corps, financial, educational, and other assistance to members of the naval services and of the United States, eligible family members and survivors when in need, to receive and manage funds as needed. So really great organization. I have a couple of feelings of what your motivation is behind this, but I'm going to step away for a second, put you on the spotlight, Ben, and allow you to talk a little bit about why you chose this organization and chose to spotlight it.
Yeah, so some people know that my wife, she's a naval officer in the Navy Reserves, and my oldest son was also the Marine Corps as well. So we're a Navy family, Navy Marine Corps family. But my wife was actually deployed during the COVID issues in New York City, so she was gone for several months away. And they're one of the groups that reached out to me out of the blue. I don't know how they even knew about me. Offered me assistance in anything that I needed. But luckily, I was good. When you have family members in reserve, you kind of expect they could get that phone call any minute where they have to be gone within 24 hours. They get a call saying, hey, you're about to be deployed, get ready. And in 24 hours, they're gone. And you don't know if they can, depending on what the mission is, it could be anywhere from the deployment length could be anywhere from 3 months to a year, or sometimes longer, depending on what their MOS specialty is, right? So the need is. So what I liked about the Relief Society was they take care of the veterans when they come home. They help them, get established if they need to do a career change by either helping them with college tuition, because the GI Bill sometimes doesn't cover everything, or if they got enough at all. They'll help with that. They also help out. They give no interest loans to families in need if they need to buy like food or basic necessities and stuff while their family member is deployed, or even if the worst thing in the world could happen, like if their family member is is killed in action, or something terrible like that happens, they're there to support that family and that terrible aftermath. They do a lot of things. They do a lot of really cool things to support veterans. And what the thing is, like when my wife's deployed, the kind of like the term is called HH6, which means household six. Like I'm the person that's left behind. I'm in the six, right? I'm behind in the household, keeping everything put together while my wife is gone and off and deployed. So they make sure that the families, when a family member is deployed, that their family's taken care of too. So if a family member needs any kind of help, they're there for that family member. They do a lot of really great things for veterans and their families that it's just amazing. And it's something that's actually sorely needed, because you hear a lot of horror stories about veterans, and they're going on deployments and the family needing help and they don't have nowhere to turn. So they fill a great void, and they do an amazing job do a really great job at it.
It's awesome. I, as both y'all know, and as most of my audience knows, my father served in the United States Army, and I'm a huge supporter of anything for our men and women in uniform. And to your point from a second ago, Ben, it's not just your wife, it's not just my father, it's the people who get left behind. um I'm I'm really proud of the USAA, the insurance company that supports veterans, and that some of their commercials are really spot on. And one of the I remember this phrase came about in an advertisement a few years back, where it was a wife, and she said, that when she was talking to USAA, they said, well, when your husband serves, but you serve too. And that's exactly how I feel about the family members like you, Ben. It's your wife who puts on the uniform, but you serve too. And organizations like the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society really spotlight that, and really put that at the forefront, that it's not just the men and women in uniform, it's their entire family. And the fact that they really have these terrific programs that give to everyone is awesome. So thank you so much for bringing it to our attention and spotlighting it tonight.
Yeah, USAA bringing them up too. I have a pretty cool story about USAA about how they help veterans as well. So a lot of people know Hurricane Katrina, it did a lot of damage, including to my place, my house I had. And I remember we had USAA insurance at the time. And so they asked us, go ahead and fill out a claim, tell us your losses and all that. And we filled out a claim or whatever. And they set out not one adjuster, but 3 different people at the same time to come do an adjustment. And they're like, hey, but wait a minute, you didn't claim this, or you didn't claim that. Well, what about this? What about that? They ended up adding more and more and more stuff to our claim. Like, who the hell does that? Like, they're more than just an insurance company. They do their banking, they do everything. They do all kinds of great stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they came in and they took amazing care of us. They try to, we didn't need it at the time, but they were going to find us a place to live. They're gonna, give us extra money to go rebuy all the food that we lost and all kinds of stuff that we didn't even think they would even cover. So we didn't put it down. Like, oh no, we're going to take care of you. So that's just another thing, about them to take care of, veterans and their families as well too. But yeah, this is something that the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society, they're there for not just as servicemen and women, but their families too. So there's a lot of charities out there that take care of the service members. They're all outstanding, but like this one, they go beyond that and take care of everybody left back home too. And then they continue to take care of service members even when they leave the service and they need help. They're still there for them. It doesn't matter if you served 30 years ago; they're going to be there for you. That's one thing I thought was pretty cool too.
Absolutely. I'm really, gentlemen, I'm really astounded by the amount of veterans groups and veteran focal points that have been brought up in this segment over the past few months. By my own addition as well. Canines for Warriors is an organization that I'm a huge advocate for. And just because I'm a huge dog lover, but I'm also a huge veteran supporter too. And Canines for Warriors has rescued so many veterans with theirs and with their program and everything. And it's organizations like this one, Ben, again, that not just focus on the servicemen and women, but focus on the family. And I'm so proud of these two organizations, gentlemen, that you guys brought to our forefront. And I'm always touched by this every single week. And I know there's a lot of people out there that donate to these causes that we bring up, and it just means so much to me. I donate each week. Later tonight, gentlemen, I'll be making donations. My wife and I will be making donations to these organizations each in your honor for bringing it up to our attention. But have to mention again, Luciano, who's in the chat tonight, and he never misses an opportunity. A man with such a giving heart. Luciano, thank you so much. You always donate to these causes whenever you're able to tune in, and it means the world to me. It means the world to our guests, and for everyone out there who donates as well. Thank you so much. This is exactly what I wanted each week, was to bring attention and to these wonderful organizations and raise some money for some great causes. And it's awesome. So to the two of you, very much thank you. Thank you so much.
Also want to point out too, I don't know if anybody caught it, but we actually did see fireworks. We saw them over Garrett's right shoulder. There was fireworks in the background. We saw them.
Yeah, I saw a couple of flashes there, man. That's pretty cool.
Awesome.
My neighbors across the street are letting it out. It's about 20 till midnight, so I think they're trying to get as much Independence Day love in as they can. So they're firing them off like crazy right now. That's awesome. Gentlemen, I can't thank you enough for forfeiting some time from your family tonight. I mean, it is a holiday. This is a time for family. And I know we spend a lot of time with our families today, but for you guys to sit down with me tonight, time you could have spent more with family on a holiday, it means the world to me. So thank you to you both. Really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, and I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, it's always a blast, man. I'm always here for you.
Appreciate that. So want to bring back we're going to come back to the PCA trade show, because again, we're embarking on Vegas later this week. Ben and I are going to be flying in on Thursday night. Garret, I believe you're coming in Thursday morning or Wednesday night. Is that right?
Thursday morning. Yep. Early.
Okay. Awesome. We're really excited about what's coming this particular year. We've talked a little bit about it already. So let's hit some of the hard hitting questions here. Outside of the big four, what is the greatest concern for you going into this trade show? What is the PCA's, the trade show in general, not necessarily the organization? It might be the organization. It's an open interpreted question. What is the greatest concern for you going into this year's trade show?
Mine would probably be the attendance. That's the one that I'm most concerned about. Just because, I mean, we're still going to feel the effects of COVID. You know, will people be there, you know, because of the COVID issue, whether or not is they don't trust the travel yet, or they're still trying to get their businesses basically, you know, back up and running the full strength like they were before COVID hit, that they can't really afford or can take the time off to go to the trade show. So attendance is really the thing that I'm most curious to see how that happens. And I'm hoping it's not down too much. I think it'll be down for sure.
And, you know, I kind of got to echo what Ben said, attendance, being my first show. I know that I'm not going to get to everybody that I want to get to. And, you know, just having the stamina to get through all, you know, the entire show. I know it's a lot of work. So, but I'm most concerned about attendance.
Yeah, I think I'm worried about that as well. I have to say, Matt Ties tuning in. He brings up a great point though. Attendance will be great whether it is or not, because no doubt we will hear at some point during the trade show. Garrett, every year, just so you know, the attendance is better and better. The attendance is never down at the PCA trade show. So
right.
Never.
No.
So, but I'm concerned about it, but I really think the industry is going to come through. I'm going to turn to your page of positivity, Ben, because I think people are so ready for this. And they had a taste of it a little bit, the people who were able to attend TPE. And maybe there's some people that didn't attend because they were like, it was still a little too soon, maybe. Even though it was just 6-7 weeks ago, I really think that the industry is going to come through. I really think we're going to see some good people there. Good traffic, I think. I don't know what the numbers are going to tell us, but I think there's going to be a lot of people. So let's go into the next question here. So this one's a little bit more fun. Who is going to have a great trade show? Which company, which person? You can answer it however you want. Who is going to have a great trade show? I have a couple of answers to this question. I think we're going to be in agreement on a couple, but who is going to have a great trade show?
That's a tough one.
Do you guys want me to go first? I will.
Sure.
I think you alluded to it earlier, Garrett. I think the Crowned Heads Ace Prime contingent is poised for a fantastic trade show. Them being in the same booth, them kind of, you know, collaborating with their powers. They've done a ton of collaboration in the last 18 months in general on some projects, including the one that I'm smoking now. I'm smoking the TAA, the Lost Angel. I don't know if you guys have had the chance to smoke it. It's fantastic. But the Sergeant, I know that was the one that they announced just a little bit a while ago. But all their collaborations and their independent works as well. I think they are primed for a fantastic trade show. I just think I think they're going to be some of the shining stars. I have another one too, but I don't want to steal anyone's thunder. But that's one that kind of creeps to the top of the list for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ace Prime and Crown Heads, but I kind of was gonna sound like a Homer kind of thing, because Luciano's in our chat right now talking. But here's my thinking behind it was, so when Ace Prime made their debut at the last trade show, they were kind of like, whoa, who is this? Like, what is this about? You know,
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of stuck up on some people. Now everybody knows who they are. They're coming out with some amazing stuff. There's not gonna take anybody by surprise, and they have a real good buzz going on in the industry right now. Like so many people, especially the Pachardo line, or people are just raving about that.
Yeah, the
You
core
know,
stuff.
so right, exactly. So I think now you're going to have people coming in there that if they don't have it already, which is probably an epic fail on their part, they're going to be going to there and trying to decide to get on that retailer list and get that product in there, you know? So, I mean, you know, Saka is another good one, but the thing is, he always has, you know, a ton of people at his booth, and he sells out every year. So that's not really, you know, somebody's going to knock out of the park. He always does. He always does really good there, you know. So yeah, Ace Prime would definitely be my top pick. Them with Crown Heads is a match made in heaven for everybody, you know. So that's kind of pretty much an easy pick, you know.
Right. I want to fly through a couple of these other questions just real quick, and then I think we need to say goodnight to Garret. Garrett's been kind enough to give us a lot of time tonight, and he's at the shop. I'm sure they want to close up at some point, and he's also got to get home to his family too. So let's go ahead and rock out just a couple more questions here, and then Ben, you and I can wrap up here. Who's gonna? I mean, who do you think is gonna have a great show, Garret?
Yeah, I think obviously, you know, Ace Prime and Crown Heads. I echo that. As I alluded to earlier, I think Fuente is gonna have another great show. I forget, is Placencia going to the PCA?
Yeah, they're booth.
Yeah, they'll be there.
Yeah, they'll be there.
So I expect them to have a great show as well. I'm really excited about the new technology that they're putting into their bands on the cigar. So those are my three buzz companies that I think will have a great show.
So here's my other one, and then we'll move on to the next question. Ferio Tego, Michael Herklotz. I think he finished. I mean, I think he was Cigar Coop's Person of the Year. So I think he closed out 2020 in the craziest way possible. Sunsetting. Well, at the time, sunsetting a brand that had a 90-year history, and doing it with such class, such elegance, and everything, and now bringing them back and then launching his own new brands with Ferio Tego. I think Michael's going to have an incredible show. I think he's going to be having. I think that booth's going to be popping. The Altria, the negativity around the whole Altria is gone, right? He doesn't have that stigma hanging over his head anymore, and he can be Michael. Not that he ever wasn't before, but he can be Ultra Michael, I guess now. So, I think he's poised for a fantastic show.
Yeah, I agree with that. Besides the Altria, the crap that went around with that, it's all thinking just bogus bullshit. But like, and Coop said, the reason I didn't bring them up is because they're not taking orders. They're just showcasing the lines and stuff like that, kind of introducing the cutting themselves. Mm-hmm. So, but now if we're talking about just buzz, I think they're going to have the biggest buzz. Everybody wants to know what he's got going on. You know, he's one of the best people in the whole industry. You know, so definitely they'll be popping for sure. Just not taking orders. They can't take orders right now.
True, all true. Yeah, I think, but I think that I think it'll still be a great introduction for them, and I think they're going to use that momentum to like really take off from there. So I'm excited to talk to Michael and see what the future of Ferio Tego / Nat Sherman will be. So that's really cool. All right. So last big question, and then what we'll do is we'll wrap up with one more. Actually, last two questions we'll wrap up here, and then we'll Garrett, we'll go ahead and we'll let you scamper off here. Who's going to stumble? Who's going to falter? Who's going to come out of the show living with regret? However you want to characterize it. Who's poised for the weakest show? Who is it? This is
outside of the big four.
Yeah, outside of the big four, because they're not going to be there. So this is why we get paid the big bucks in media, gentlemen. We get to tick some people off. Who is it?
That's a good question. I don't know, man. I had to think on that one. Well, who do you think? Who do you think?
Oh, putting it back on the host. I get it. Okay, fine. I'll put myself on a limb there. I think there's two. One, I'm just interested to see what their direction is, and two, the first one I'm going to mention has the most to gain from a successful trade show. I just don't know if they have the capability of doing it. And here's the opportunity that they have. This company lost its figurehead after a very controversial exit during 2020, and that was Kaiser and Sosha with Gurkha. So I think Gurkha is poised. You know, they've had, like I said, they own the biggest piece of real estate at the trade show. They have brands that you guys and I haven't even heard of. I mean, they have a huge footprint in this industry. And, you know, despite even before the fallout of 2020, they always had this kind of love-hate relationship with where they were incredibly popular among cigar smokers, still are. But from a trade show perspective, I think they need to take this opportunity to repair some relationships, to solidify the ones, and to make the ones that they have even better. And I just don't know if they're poised to do it. It's a big question mark for me. And when it's a big question mark, I tend to lean more towards the negative a little bit on it. I think it's a great opportunity for them. And they have the opportunity to come out of the trade show really, really strong. The question is whether or not they'll do it. And I don't think they will. Just because I think there's other questions.
Yeah, it kind of all depends on how they handle it, right? So they can either become a phoenix and rise from the ashes, kind of,
right,
or they can wither on the vine. So it depends on what their focus is going forward, because they basically kind of blew off and ignored brick and mortar for the longest time, and basically just kept on brand, right? They sold most of their stuff. Most of their sales came from online. So, I mean, it depends if they refocus on their brick and mortar, their retailers, and, you know, treat them a little bit more respect and see what happens, you know. But the one I was thinking of, and Matt Todd in the chat just brought him up, that I was thinking of was Warped. And the reason why is because I was one of the biggest fans of Warped from the early days. They were just making some amazing stuff. In the past couple of years, the stuff to me has been subpar. Like, I haven't enjoyed most anything they come out with lately. So I'm thinking, I mean, and they changed factories, and I don't know how it's going to work out, because so far it hadn't worked out much at all. So we'll just see how they pull this one off, this trade show off, right? Because right now, like, I don't hear any buzz at all about Warped. Nothing. And used to, they were a big company that had a lot of buzz going into the trade shows, because they were always introducing some special LEs and stuff like that. But I don't know, you hadn't heard much from them, and with changing the factory, it's like, I don't know about that. We'll see.
That was my second one. So you took that from me, Ben. Yeah, for a lot of the same concerns. Like, look, Kyle Gallus probably certainly has his company well in hand. He probably has a vision for it, and he's probably on course. I just don't know, and I think most of the public doesn't know what that vision is and what that direction is. And when a company's leadership has an idea what a vision is, that's great, and it could ultimately lead to some great success. And he's obviously had a tremendous amount of early success in his young career, but at the same time, when the public perception of of that vision is lacking. I don't know if anyone knows what he's doing. And if we don't know what he's doing, how can future supporters, future retailers get behind that? You know, that's kind of my biggest concern about it. So I think he has a great opportunity to have a tremendous trade show, but I think there are a lot of questions on what that direction looks like. Garrett, what do you think?
Well, I don't know that I have a good answer. I'm just trying to think of, there are a lot. It's a very crowded boutique group right now. And that begs the question, who's ready to take that next step and grow into that medium-size company? And if that's the case, who is that medium-sized company that's just kind of fizzled out? Obviously, Warped is in that conversation. That's a really good call. You know, I think about, you know, maybe some of the Oveja Negra brands that haven't, you know, there hasn't been a whole lot of buzz there. They're still making a great product. Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to really look at some of these medium-sized guys and see who could potentially fall off if one of the, you know, handful of these smaller boutiques really start to gain popularity, because there's a lot of good smaller boutiques out there. They're not all going to survive, and it's going to be, you know, it's going to be interesting to see who makes it, who doesn't, and who falls. I don't have a good answer other than piggybacking on the Warped. I know that Juan has done a fantastic job with Gurkha. So yeah, that'll be interesting too.
Okay. All right. New cigars you guys are excited about? Any new cigars you guys are excited about?
Broken Record Time, Ace Prime, Crown Heads. Been teased, you know, Luciano teased us at TPE with a few things that they're going to launch. Obviously, Fiero Tegro. Those would be my top two brands.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll probably be the same for me. The Sergeant, I'm really interested in trying the La Patissier. Is the other one that I'm really looking forward to that one the most by far. Can't wait to try that cigar. That's probably my top two for sure. Both of them H Prime and Crown Heads.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I know it's been on the market for a little bit, but like, you know, Garrett mentioned Plasencia, the Colorado Claro. I am really stoked about that particular cigar. I haven't had the opportunity to try. I know it's been on the market for a while, but they're kind of using this as a kind of to I guess to bolster it a little bit. And you know, I think there are some pockets of other brands that have the opportunity to kind of really seize the moment and everything. So far early on, I know we've been sounding like a broken record, but I think, you know, even Coop was agreeing with us earlier in the chat. You know, so far leading into the trade show, the Crowned Heads Race Prime contingent has really set itself apart in terms of the job that they've done as far as generating that buzz and, you know, bringing the most attention to PCA exclusives and to the brands that they're releasing. So, I mean, you know, we can sound like a broken record all we want, but if that's, you know, if that's the company that's setting themselves apart and setting themselves up for success, then, you know, it's obviously recognizable, and they're obviously doing a great job with it. This is reminding me, Ben, of the year that specific to Crowned Heads, right? The year that the Jericho Hill came out, because that was the cigar leading into that trade show, and it delivered.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, that was a fantastic year, actually.
So, so I'm really excited about this year's trade show. I think it's going to be awesome. I think, you know, it's going to be different. It's certainly going to feel different. It's certainly going to look different. But to Ben's point at the top of the show, I think we all have a great opportunity in terms of our coverage for, spotlighting cigar companies that we may not have gotten into in the past. There are some new ones out there too that we definitely are going to be touching and talking with. And so I'm jazzed. I am certainly jazzed about it. So any final thoughts going into the trade show that y'all want to share before we close out tonight's show?
Go ahead, Garrett. You go first.
Well, so I mean, I know that during the TPE, Matt and I didn't have time to breathe, let alone do any discovery of the, of Vegas at all. I want to, really be a part of some cool after parties and have some good times there. I want to ask you guys, at these after parties, do you ever get any nuggets or get an ear that you don't get on the floor that you got at an after party? What does that look like for you guys?
For me, sometimes you do, but honestly, it's just a time to relax and have fun and leave the business behind. Honestly, I usually don't try to talk shop during those things, because that's really what we're all trying to do, is just chill, relax, and decompress.
Yeah.
I use that time, Garrett, to just network and build relationships, to be honest. That's kind of what I do with it. That's kind of what I use that time for it. It's something that I look forward to. Yeah, I mean, they're fun, they're great, and it's one of the times where you can actually relax a little bit. You don't have to be on, but it's a great opportunity to build those relationships into going into the year. From a show aspect, it allows me to talk about future shows with, obviously future guests and things like that. So I definitely use that opportunity as well. So, well, gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show with this last segment, which is our curveball segment. Okay. And as always, our curveball segment is brought to you by Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. Fastballs or curveballs, it doesn't matter. Since the company's inception, Steve Saka has been knocking them out of the park 6 consecutive years in the consensus top 3. Yep. I looked it up, and I even got fact checked by my partner on Cigar Coop Primetime Special Edition, Mr. Will Cooper. So tonight's curveball question, we're going to go back to our Independence Day theme, and you have to answer the question without getting political. So there's the challenge. You have to get without going political. The founding fathers declared their independence in 1776 on July 4th. 2021 on July 4th, if the founding fathers were here, would you say they would be satisfied or unsatisfied with what their vision was and what our country has become? Satisfied or unsatisfied, no political discussion whatsoever. That's the curveball part.
Garrett, you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Yeah, man. No, I'll take it first. If I'm looking at the founding fathers and I'm looking at the society and the culture that they're a part of, I think it would be a lot for them to take in, the amount of changes that just society and culture has had, not only here in the States, but globally. And I think that they would probably be shocked. Maybe some of them in a good way, maybe some of them would be disappointed. But you know what? I'm actually going to go with. I think they would be. I actually think they would be disappointed in a lot of it, because we've just changed so much culturally, and yeah, I'll leave it there.
Okay. So if curveball question, it's a tough one. I get it. Without getting political, it's hard to answer that question. I get it. That's why I wanted to ask it. Ben.
I'm the opposite of that. I think they would love it, because reading the original documents, all the way from the Federalist Papers, the Constitution, everything in between, Benjamin Franklin's writings, Thomas Jefferson's writings, no matter, the conditions that the original, United States was founded on, we've kind of, going by what they put on paper, we've kind of gotten closer to what they set out to have than what they had in the beginning, right? We're definitely multicultural. Everybody, no matter how, we talk about immigration, it's still easier to immigrate here than most other places all over the world. So we're still welcoming immigrants here, without getting political,
Mm-hmm.
And I think we still have a lot of freedoms that there's still a lot of places in the world don't have and can't even fathom us having. So, I think they would see that what they were striving to create, we've gotten closer to that ideology that they wanted to have for their new founded country back in 1776. That's just my view.
So here's my take. Garrett, I'm going to echo what you said. I think there's going to be some things that they would be shocked about. I think there's going to be some things that they would be pleased about. Again, without any political discussion, our country has become to a place where creative minds, world-renowned universities, learning is at an all-time high. Back in 1776, these men who declared independence from the nation were college-educated men, but they were in a small minority. Today, more people have access to higher levels of education, and you can have discussions about that level of education and the problems there within, but they have more access to it. There is, again, we can have discussion about diversity. There's more diversity in government. There's more diversity in the workplace. There's more innovation taking part in the world today. And yes, there are discussions about, again, without getting political, there are discussions about that too that need to happen and can take place and are taking place. But I think ultimately our founding fathers would be satisfied with the nation that has become that they declared when they declared independence from Great Britain in 1776. So that's what I want to leave today's show on. Gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you this evening. Thank you so much for your time. Garrett, I know you need to leave. It's been a pleasure having you. It's been an honor having you. We cannot wait to see you in Vegas later this week. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
Ben,
I am so excited.
So excited to have you, sir. Ben, thank you as well for your time. So excited that you've joined the Cigar Coop team. It's a pleasure to have you on board. I'm super excited to work side by side with you. I think we're going to do some amazing things together. I think we're going to make a great team. And I just hope I don't let you down, man.
Of course not, man. Don't even say something like that. It's going to be awesome. We're going to kill it, man.
Awesome. To my audience, thanks for tuning in on an Independence Day. For all your likes, shares, and comments, I greatly appreciate that. Tune into our YouTube page, LO Fumar, also our Facebook page as well, LO Fumar. Don't forget to like the page if you haven't already. If you listening to the show later, wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts, don't forget to download, subscribe, and review. If you already are a subscriber, please hit the unsubscribe button, but please don't forget to hit the resubscribe button. It helps my ratings, helps my numbers, and helps me get continued great guests like the two gentlemen this evening. It's been my pleasure sitting down with you two. So for everyone out there, he's Garrett Robertson of How Bout That Cigar. Ben Lee, the newest addition to the Cigar Coop team. I'm Bear Duplessis, live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star Studios of Euless, Texas. And guess what, everybody? We'll see you next time.